The morning Marcus left, Claire didn't cry. She stood at the kitchen window with her 7-day-old daughter pressed against her chest, watching his silver sedan back out of the driveway for the last time. The engine hummed, the tires crunched over frost-hardened gravel, and then the street was empty. Just a pale February sky and the sound of Lily breathing. Claire had known it was coming. She'd felt it the moment she went into labor, watching Marcus pace the hospital corridor with his phone pressed to his ear, his voice low and urgent. She'd felt it when he held Lily for exactly 4 minutes before setting her down and saying he needed air. She'd felt it every night of that first week when she woke at 2, at 3, at 4:30, always alone, always in the dark. The baby's cries filling the house while Marcus slept through all of it. Still, watching the car disappear around the corner, she expected something to break inside her, some deep and final cracking. It didn't come. Instead, she looked down at Lily, that impossible pink face, those tiny fists curled like question marks, and made a quiet decision. Not a dramatic one, not a declaration she announced to anyone. Just a simple, private vow made to her daughter and to herself. We're going to be okay. I'm going to make sure of it. The first month was the hardest thing Claire had ever survived. She was 29, with a degree in graphic design. She'd barely used since taking a part-time, remote job for a marketing agency 2 years earlier. The money was modest, but consistent. Enough when Marcus had been contributing. Terrifyingly insufficient now. He'd left without discussion, without a plan, without so much as a note on the refrigerator. Just a half-empty closet and a voicemail 2 days later saying he wasn't ready, that he was sorry, that he hoped she understood. She did not understand. Her mother drove up from Richmond and stayed for 2 weeks, sleeping on the pull-out sofa, doing laundry at midnight, making Claire eat even when she insisted she wasn't hungry. Her best friend Danielle appeared every Saturday with groceries and held Lily so Claire could sleep for 3 uninterrupted hours, a luxury that felt, in those early weeks, like something close to heaven. But her mother had to go home. Danielle had her own life, and at some point, around week 5 on a gray Tuesday morning, Claire was alone with her daughter and her fear and the pressing, practical reality of what her life now required. She sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and a pen and wrote down every number she needed to know. Monthly income, monthly bills, the balance in her savings account, the cost of diapers, formula, pediatric appointments. She stared at the math for a long time. Then she flipped to a clean page and wrote, "What can I actually do?" She started with what she had. Her remote marketing job paid $14 an hour for 20 hours a week. She emailed her supervisor that same Tuesday and asked about moving to full-time. Her supervisor, a warm woman named Patricia who had 3 kids of her own, said yes without hesitation. That was the first small miracle. The second came from an unexpected direction. Claire had always designed things on the side: birthday invitations, small business logos, the occasional wedding, program for friends who paid, her in gift cards and gratitude. Danielle suggested she start charging real money and put together a proper portfolio. Claire spent 3 evenings compiling her best work into a simple website she built herself. Within 2 weeks, she had her first paying freelance client. Within 2 months, she had 4. She worked during Lily's nap times, after Lily's bedtime, sometimes in the early hours before dawn when the baby woke and wouldn't settle, and Claire would nurse her with one hand and answer emails with the other. She was exhausted in a way she had never been before. Not just tired, but deeply, structurally depleted, the kind of tired that lives in your bones. But underneath the exhaustion was something else, something she hadn't expected. She felt capable. Every problem she solved, every invoice sent, every client landed, every bill paid on time, confirmed something she hadn't fully believed about herself before, that she could figure things out, that she was, when it came down to it, more resourceful than she'd known. The loneliness was harder to solve than the money. There were evenings when she sat on the floor of Lily's nursery after putting her down, listening to the white noise machine and the settling sounds of the house, and felt the silence press in around her like something physical, She missed adult conversation. She missed being known by someone. She missed having a person to tell the small things to. The funny thing, Lily did today, the difficult client, the strange dream she'd had. She found a new mothers group at a community center 10 minutes from her house. She almost didn't go. She sat in the parking lot the first night for 4 minutes, debating whether to turn around. She went in. The group was 10 women in a circle of folding chairs, babies in laps or carriers, a facilitator named Rosa who spoke in a calm, unhurried way about the particular grief of early motherhood, how it could coexist with love, how both things could be true at once. Several women cried. Claire didn't that first night, but she came back the following week, and the week after that, and slowly something began to loosen. She made 2 real friends there, Heather, a quietly funny pediatric nurse, whose partner had left 3 months into her pregnancy, and Simone, a 34-year-old who had chosen single motherhood deliberately and carried herself with a calm confidence that Claire found both inspiring and slightly intimidating. They started meeting for coffee on Sunday mornings, trading off whose apartment, the babies rolling on blankets while the 3 of them talked without filtering themselves. It was the first time since Marcus left that Claire felt like herself again. Lily turned 1 in February, on the anniversary of the morning Marcus drove away. Claire baked a small smash cake, vanilla with cream cheese frosting, Lily's tiny handprints eventually covering most of it. Danielle came. Heather and Simone came with their daughters. Claire's mother drove up from Richmond again, arriving with too many balloons and a homemade banner she'd stayed up until midnight to finish. Claire stood in her kitchen, watching the people she loved most crowd around her daughter, and she thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, standing at this same window, holding this same baby, watching that silver car disappear. She thought about what she'd been afraid of. Poverty, failure, the permanent loneliness of doing this alone, the possibility that she wasn't enough, that without a partner, without the structure she'd imagined her family would have, she and Lily would somehow be less than whole. A year in, she could honestly say, none of it had gone the way she'd feared. Some things had been harder. Many things had surprised her. But she had built something. Carefully, stubbornly, one solved problem at a time, that she was genuinely proud of. Her freelance income had grown to the point where she'd scaled back her agency hours to invest more in her own clients. She had a small but real business, one with her name on it, one she'd built from a legal pad and a late-night moment of deciding to take herself seriously. She had friends who knew her fully. She had a daughter who lit up every room she entered, who had recently learned to wave and deployed this skill, indiscriminately at grocery store clerks, at pigeons, at her own reflection. She had a life, a good one, not the one she'd planned, but better in certain ways than anything she could have planned, because she had made it herself. People asked her sometimes, as Lily grew, at the playground, at the mothers' group, in the easy intimacy of Sunday coffee, how she had managed, what the secret was. They said it with something almost reverent in their voices, as if she'd survived something extraordinary. She always thought about it honestly before answering. "I stopped waiting to feel ready," she usually said. "I just started doing the next thing." And then the next one, it wasn't a dramatic answer. It didn't make for much of a story, the way she told it. But it was true. And it was, she had come to believe, the only answer that actually mattered. Not the absence of fear, not the presence of certainty. Just the willingness to keep moving anyway. One morning at a time, one solved problem at a time. One small stubborn act of love at a time. Lily would grow up knowing her mother had chosen her. Fully, fearlessly, without reservation. On the morning, everything else fell away. That was the story Claire intended to tell her someday. That was the only inheritance that truly counted. The silver sedan never came back. The empty closet eventually filled with other things. And the pale February sky, the one. Claire had stared at the morning her old life ended. Gradually became just sky again. Just ordinary, beautiful sky. Belonging to no particular grief, open in every direction.